She has now revealed that that information came direct from Meghan's ex-husband, Trevor Engelson, via an intermediary.
Prince Harry sat in his quiet office in a giant house in California and felt his heart start to break because of a secret he never expected to hear. He had given up almost everything for the woman he loved. He gave up his home in England, his special royal titles, his close family, and even his place in the long history of kings and queens. He did all of this because he believed in Meghan Markle with his whole heart. He believed her when no one else did. He went to a big fight against the most powerful royal group in the world because he trusted that what she said was the absolute truth. But while Harry was talking to the world, another man named Trevor Engelson was watching everything in total silence. For 7 long years, Trevor did not say a word to the newspapers or the television cameras. People offered him $1 million just to tell his story, but he said no every single time. Then something changed in the first month of the year 2026. A secret that Trevor reportedly shared finally reached Prince Harry. It was something so big that it made Harry cry, even though he is a man who was once a brave soldier. Something inside the big house in Montecito felt different during the 3rd week of January in 2026. Prince Harry is a man who once stood up in front of the whole world and said he was leaving the royal family. He was usually very strong. But suddenly he was not sleeping well at all. He was not doing any more famous interviews on television. He was not telling his team to send out messages to the public. Instead, he was seen driving his car all by himself through the hills near Santa Barbara. He was driving at very strange times when most people were asleep. When he was at home, he spent a lot of time alone in his room where he does his work. People who know the family said he was starting to ask very hard questions about his wife's past. These were questions he had never asked before in all the years they had been together. To understand why this is such a big deal, you have to look back at the year 2018. That was the year Harry stood in a beautiful old church at Windsor Castle. 2 billion people around the world were watching him on their screens as he married Meghan. They had only known each other for less than 2 years before they decided to get married. The people who follow the royal family were very surprised that they got married so quickly. Prince William and his wife, Catherine, had dated for 9 whole years before they decided to get engaged. Even King Charles and Princess Diana were together for 3 years before they got married. But Harry and Meghan went from their very first date in a small club in London to a giant wedding in only 22 months. In a very famous interview in 2021, Harry talked about how he felt before he met Meghan. He said he felt like a bird trapped in a cage, but he didn't even know he was stuck. He talked about how sad he was when his mother, Princess Diana, died. He said his heart was still hurting because he never really talked about his feelings. He said the royal family did not help him understand his own mind. Then he looked at Meghan and said she was the one who saved him. She was the one who changed his whole life and made him feel free. This is why the news in January 2026 was so painful for him. The story of his life and all the things he gave up was starting to feel like it might not be completely true. The man who had the secret information was not a reporter or a royal helper. He was a man from Hollywood who had been quiet for more than 10 years. Most people who have heard of Trevor Engelson only think of him as a small part of Meghan's story. They know he was her first husband. He was the man she was with for 7 years. They got married in a sunny place called Jamaica in 2011, but they got a divorce in 2013. Some people told a story that was a bit mean about how their marriage ended. They said Meghan sent her wedding ring back to Trevor in a package through the mail. But Trevor is much more than just an ex-husband. He is a man who knows how to be successful in the movie business. While the world was busy talking about Meghan, Trevor was busy building a real career. He started his own company called Underground Films a long time ago. He started at the bottom as a helper on a movie about big sharks, but he worked very hard and moved up. He produced movies with famous actors, and then he became the boss of a very popular television show. He was very smart and stayed away from the drama. He never said anything bad about Meghan after they split up. When people writing books asked him for help, he said he had nothing to say. When reporters tried to talk to him when Harry and Meghan moved to America, he just walked away. Records show that Trevor even left the country when the royal wedding was happening so he wouldn't have to see it. He was offered more than $1 million to write a book about Meghan, but he said no every single time he was asked. The only time anyone really heard how he felt was through a lady named Bethany Frankel who once went on a date with him. She said she sent him a text message asking if he thought Meghan would actually marry Prince Harry. Trevor told her he was sure she would. After that, he moved on and made a new life for himself. He started dating a lady named Tracy Kurland, and they got married in a beautiful place by the beach in California. Tracy's father was a very wealthy man who had hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, Trevor and Tracy have 3 children and a very happy home. For 7 years, while Harry and Meghan were in the news every single day, Trevor stayed quiet. He knew Meghan when she was just a young actress trying to find a job in Hollywood. He knew her better than almost anyone. This is why people were so shocked when a new story started to spread in early 2026. This story was like a secret wave that hit Hollywood and the royal palace at the same time. People started to wonder why Trevor was choosing to share things now. The secret was about a time in Meghan's life that no one had ever really looked at before. It was about when she was a young student at a big school called Northwestern University. The rumor said that Meghan's marriage to Trevor was not actually her second marriage. It said it was her third marriage. Some people online claimed that when she was only 19 years old, she married a man named Joseph. They said the marriage was very short and was either canceled quickly or hidden so no one could find the papers. They said the young man's family was very rich and they did not want him to be married to Meghan. People who check facts have looked everywhere for proof of this, but they have never found any real papers that say it happened. But then, a video from 2019 showed an actress saying that Meghan already had a child. This made people talk even more, even though it was just someone talking at a party. Then there was another even bigger story. It said that a baby girl was born when Meghan was a teenager. The story claimed that because Meghan wanted to be a famous actress, she gave the baby to another family to raise. It said she did not want anyone to know about the child when she became a royal. Meghan actually talked about these rumors on her own show on Netflix. She made a joke about it and said it would be very impressive if she could keep a secret that big for so long. So why does any of this matter if no one can prove it? It matters because of what it did to Prince Harry. Harry is a man who cares about the truth more than anything else. He told the whole world that he left his family because he hated secrets. He wanted to be honest. But now, he was being told that the woman he gave up everything for might have had a big secret of her own. For Harry, it didn't matter if it was legally proven yet. It was the feeling that he didn't know the whole story that hurt him the most. Sources say the arguments inside their big house in California were very loud and very intense. People said you could hear them yelling even if you were outside the house. Harry had spent 8 years defending Meghan against everyone. But now, he wasn't defending her anymore. He was demanding to know the truth. This was a big change for him. Since 2020, Harry had built his whole life on one idea. He said he left the royals because they were not being honest. He said Meghan was the only person who was telling the truth. He said this in his big interview, and he wrote it in his book called Spare. That book was the fastest-selling book of its kind ever. It sold over 1 million copies on the very first day. He told this same story in every country he visited. He said he had to leave to be honest. But now, people say he was calling his old friends who work in security in England. He was asking them why they didn't find these secrets before he got married. He was asking Meghan very specific questions about her time at the university. The two of them were always a team against the world, but now that team was starting to break apart. One thing Harry reportedly said has become a very famous part of this story. He told Meghan that he gave up his whole country for a version of her that might not even be real. This sentence shows how sad and confused he was feeling in early 2026. Harry made all his big life choices because he was sure about who Meghan was. He chose her stories over the stories his own family told him. He chose to live in California instead of England. He chose to talk to Oprah Winfrey instead of spending Christmas with the royals. If any of the new secrets were even a little bit true, it meant Harry made all those choices without knowing everything. For a man who wants to be known for the truth, this felt like he was losing his own identity. The news from their home in California traveled all the way to London very quickly. But the person who answered was not the king or Prince William. It was Princess Anne. She is the person the royal family calls when things get very difficult because she is very serious and hardworking. Princess Anne does more work than almost anyone else in the royal family. In 1 year, she did 474 official jobs. She did this even after she had an accident with a horse and had to stay in the hospital. She is a very tough lady. She won gold medals for riding horses, and she even stood up to someone who tried to kidnap her a long time ago. She has never done a big interview about Harry and Meghan because she doesn't think she needs to. She just does her work and shows everyone what a royal is supposed to do. But in January 2026, she decided to send a message through secret channels. Her message was very strong, and it did not make Harry look good. She said that even if the stories about a first marriage were true, Meghan was an adult when it happened. She said both Harry and Meghan were single when they got married in 2018, so their wedding was still legal. She also talked about how Harry said the palace should have protected him from making a bad choice. Sources say Princess Anne felt that Harry's excuses were not very good. Harry was 32 years old when he met Meghan. He had been a soldier in 2 wars. He had fought for 10 years to make his own choices in life. He wanted to be the boss of his own heart. The royal family gave him a giant wedding that cost £32 million to show that they respected his choice. So, for him to now say the family should have stopped him from marrying Meghan felt like an insult to Anne. She thought it made him look weak, but what she said about the children was even more serious. She was very upset about how the fight between the parents was hurting the 2 young kids, Archie and Lilibet. Archie is 6 years old and Lilibet is 4. They live in a very expensive house in California, but they almost never see their grandfather, King Charles. They have not been to England in a long time. King Charles loves his grandchildren and has sent them nice cards and messages. The kids even sent him a video of them singing a birthday song. These children are caught in a big fight that is not their fault. Princess Anne's message was very clear. She said that Harry and Meghan brought these kids into the world because they loved each other. Now, they need to show that love by being calm and stable. They should not be having a public war that the kids will grow up and read about on the internet. Anne turned the whole drama into a test of their character. But while people were thinking about what Anne said, another big problem started in a different royal house. This time, the problem involved Queen Camilla. Sources say she was very, very angry. To understand why she was mad, you have to know her history. For 25 years, people in Britain said bad things about her because she was part of the problem in Charles and Diana's marriage. Queen Elizabeth eventually said she wanted Camilla to be the queen consort, which was a big deal after so many years of people not liking her. In his book, Harry called Camilla a villain. He said she used him to make herself look better in the news. Camilla had to work very hard to get past all of that. And now, Princess Anne was talking about women with secrets and how they need to be honest. She was talking about how mothers need to tell the truth about their past. Even if Anne was talking about Meghan, Camilla felt like those words were also about her. She felt like she was being attacked too. The feeling was very sharp and it led to a big fight. On a cold evening in January 2026, everyone was at a dinner at a royal house called Sandringham. King Charles had to sit between the 2 most important women in his life while they argued. They were arguing about Harry and Meghan, but they were also arguing about how much a royal has to tell the public. Camilla said that Anne should not have said anything at all. She said that by talking about the secrets, Anne made the problem even bigger. She said it made it impossible for the king to ever make peace with his son Harry. She thought Anne made things worse, but Anne would not change her mind. She said that staying silent for 7 years had not fixed anything. She thought being quiet was the same as giving up. She believed the only way for the royal family to survive was to be honest about their rules. She didn't think they should just hope the problems would go away on their own. Both of these women have had very hard lives and have seen many secrets. They both think they are right. And poor King Charles, who was feeling very tired and not very well, had to try to keep the peace between them. There is also a rule from 2025 that everyone is thinking about. That was when the king took away Prince Andrew's titles. This showed that a king can actually take away a prince title if he wants to. This means Harry and Meghan might be in trouble of losing their titles too. We don't know if that will happen, but it is a possibility. What we do know is that the Harry and Meghan brand is having a very hard time. Their foundation, which is called Archuel, is not getting as much money as it used to. In 2023, people gave them over $5 million, but in 2024, that number dropped to only $2 million. Also, the company Netflix does not seem as excited to make shows with them anymore. Not as many people want to watch stories about them as before. In Britain, most people do not have a good opinion of Meghan or Harry right now. Only a small number of people say they like them. On the other hand, Harry is still the only royal who made the family talk about big issues like race. His book is still a very famous part of history. He is also a father who truly believes he cannot take his kids to England because it is not safe for them. Whether you agree with him or not, he seems to really believe what he is saying. One person who knows the family well said that Harry and William both spend too much time thinking about the past. They keep thinking about old fights, and they are still very sad that their mother is not here to help them. This is not a story with a simple good guy or a bad guy. It is a story about a family that is hurting and doesn't know how to fix it. Some people say Harry and Meghan are arguing about their kids now. They say Harry is annoyed that Meghan uses the kids to get attention. But Meghan's team says that is not true and that people are just making up stories to be mean. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Meanwhile, Trevor Engelson is still in Hollywood making his television shows. He still has not said anything to the public. He lives in the same small town as Harry and Meghan. They are neighbors. They live so close that it only takes a few minutes to drive between their houses. Trevor has a happy life with his 3 children. He has exactly what he wanted. One thing we know for sure is that the time of people believing only one side of the story is over. It's not just because of the newspapers or the royals. It's because we live in a world where the internet remembers everything. People who knew Harry and Meghan before they were famous have their own memories. They have their own stories to tell. The past is not something you can just leave behind like an old coat. You carry it with you every day. For 2 people living behind big gates in a fancy California town, the past feels very heavy right now. Everyone in this story thinks they are the one telling the truth. That is why it is so hard to find a solution. Harry gave up his whole world for a woman he loved, and now he is wondering if he knew who she really was. Meghan is trying to keep her family together while people tell stories about her. The king and the princesses are trying to keep the royal family strong while everything changes around them. It is a giant drama that doesn't seem to have an ending. We want to know what you think about this whole situation. Do you think Harry and Meghan can fix their problems? Do you think the royal family should take away their titles? Where do you think this story goes next? Please tell us what you think in the comments. We want to hear your ideas because this is a story that affects a lot of people, and it shows how hard it can be to live in the public eye. The world is waiting to see what happens next in Montecito and in London. Will Trevor finally speak out loud? Will Harry and Meghan find a way to be happy again? Or will the secrets from the past finally break everything apart? The hills of California are beautiful, but they can also be a lonely place when you are carrying a lot of secrets. Every day, more people start to ask questions, and the answers are getting harder to find. This is the reality of being a royal in the modern world. You have all the money and the fame, but you also have to face the truth every single morning when you wake up. Harry is a man who wanted a simple life, but he found himself in the middle of a giant storm. And as the wind blows through the trees in California and the rain falls on the old stones of the castles in England, the world continues to watch and wonder. It is amazing to think how much has changed since that sunny wedding day in 2018. Back then, everyone was smiling and the world felt full of hope. Now, the smiles are gone and the hope has been replaced by questions and arguments. It is a reminder that life can change very fast, even for a prince. Harry's journey from being a favorite royal to being a man driving alone in the hills is a very sad one. But it is also a story about a man trying to find his way in a world that is very confusing. He is trying to be a good husband and a good father while also being true to himself. That is something that many people can understand, even if they don't live in a mansion. Fight for the truth is a long one, and it looks like Harry is right in the middle of it. As he searches for answers about Meghan's past, he's also searching for answers about his own future. We will have to wait and see what he finds and how it changes the royal story forever. In the end, the truth always has a way of coming out, no matter how hard people try to hide it or how long they stay silent. The silence of Trevor Engelson lasted for a decade, but even that silence had to end eventually. And when it did, it changed everything for everyone involved in this giant royal saga. It is also important to think about the lessons we can learn from this. It tells us that being famous does not mean you are always happy. It tells us that families are complicated, no matter who they are. And it tells us that the truth is the most important thing we have. Prince Harry spent his whole life looking for a place where he could be himself. He thought he found it in California with Meghan. But now he has to decide if that life was built on a solid foundation or on something that is starting to crumble. His choices in the coming months will decide not just his own future, but the future of his children and the future of the British monarchy. It is a very big weight for one man to carry, especially when he feels like he is all alone. But the world is still watching, and many people are still hoping that he finds the peace and the truth he has been looking for since he was a little boy. Story of the Sussexes is far from over, and every new day brings a new chapter to this incredible story of love, secrets, and the search for the truth in a world that never forgets. As we close this chapter, we think about the quiet town of Montecito where all these people live so close together. It is a small world after all, even for the most famous people on Earth. The distance between Trevor's house and Harry's house is very small, but the distance between their stories feels like a giant ocean. Someday, maybe they will all sit down and talk, but for now, they are just neighbors with a lot of history between them. And that history is what makes this story so fascinating to everyone who hears it. It is a story that reminds us that our past is always a part of us, and that honesty is the best way to move forward into the future. No matter what happens next, the world will be here to see it and to talk about it. So keep watching and keep thinking about what it means to live a life of truth in a world that is full of secrets. The royal drama continues, and the next turn of the page could change everything we think we know. There are no more royal castles to hide in when the truth comes knocking on your door. Harry is learning this the hard way. He is out there in the world, trying to figure it out just like the rest of us, and that makes him more human than he has ever been before. His tears in 2026 show that he is a man with a heart that can still be broken, and a man who still cares about what is right. Whether he stays in California or goes back to England, he will always be the boy who walked behind his mother's coffin and the man who wanted to change the world. That is his real history, and that is what people will remember in the end. The secrets and the rumors might fade away, but the person Harry is will remain. And that is the most important part of the story. The truth is not just about what happened in the past. It is about who you are today and who you want to be tomorrow. Harry is still deciding that, and the whole world is waiting to see what he chooses. It is a long road, but it is the only road that leads to real peace. So we wish him luck on his journey, and we hope that he finds the answers he is looking for, no matter how hard they are to hear. The end of the story is still a long way off, and there are many more pages to be written in this book of royal secrets and truths. We will be here to read them all and to share them with you. Thank you for following this story with us, and we look forward to hearing your thoughts on the future of Prince Harry and his family in the comments below. Goodbye for now, and keep looking for the truth in your own life too.